so we'll blow the man up and we'll blow the man down.
To me way, blow the man down.
And we'll blow him away into Liverpool town.
Give me some time to blow the man down. Give me some time to blow the man down. Give me time. Give me time. Give me time. Give me time.
Okay, so Crystal.
Yes.
What are you researching?
I am researching the topographic characteristics and the natural affordances of ancient harbors in Lebanon. So I'm looking at Bronze Age and Iron Age harbors and looking at what kind of maritime environment they naturally have in order to compare between harbor sites and come up with some new ideas as well.
Nice, nice. So why did you choose this particular research?
Well, at first I was thinking about something totally different, and then it always starts like that, and then I went researching and reading, and it came down to it because I was really interested in the concept of affordances and what a space or a locality has to afford people who are living there. And then I thought I can apply this concept to harbor sites and see what kind of affordances they, what actually how people engage with these sites and how they change them to make them, for instance, better harbor sites.
Nice. Okay. All right. Yeah. Is there any background for the basis of your research?
Well, yes. The basis of my research, what I'm doing exactly is that I'm looking, so I chose a couple of characteristics to look at. In terms of the maritime environment, I chose the wind speed and wind direction and wave heights. And I'm going to do these analysis on every harbor sites that are known from the Bronze Age and the Iron Age in Lebanon. So that's a total of about 20 sites. And so these kinds of analysis, like wave heights, are more usually used in oceanographic sciences, and wind modeling has been used but more for coming up with the maritime routes that ships used to take. So, but they were not really used to look at harbor sites. They were, but in a more when you use arrows to see the wind direction and so on. But what I'm doing is that I'm doing it on a much bigger scale, if you want, in terms of the seasons. So I'm covering all the seasons, and I'm covering morning and evening, which gives us a better perspective on wind changes in different seasons and different sailing conditions and so on.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, just one thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I have two main objectives, which are I'm looking at the maritime accessibility of harbors, and I'm looking at how much protected they were. So maritime accessibility in terms of when to approach harbors and when to leave harbors, and protection in terms of how much their location, like whether they are bays or so on, and they can afford certain protection for ships and boats.
And you're going to be able to determine that through technology and.
Well, yeah, I'm using ArcGIS, and I'm using SWAN modeling and I've compiled data about the wind from the Wind and Wave Atlas of the Mediterranean and from the Admiralty pilot, and I've summarized everything. So I interpolated the grids and so on. So I have rasters showing me all these kind of different data. And for the wave modeling, I'm also using the topography and the bathymetry and the location of the sites, and yeah.
Nice. So what harbors are you looking at?
So I'm not just looking at the harbors that we know that they were major harbor sites, for instance, Byblos and Tyre. I'm picking up all the sites on the Lebanese coast that potentially may have been used as harbors, but on different scales. Like when we say harbors, they may have been just I'm not saying that there were actual installations of harbors. They may have been just natural harbors used, and so I'm looking at all these sites, whether they are potential or known through textual evidence or archaeological evidence. I've compiled a list, and that's mainly one of my objectives, is that to look at these different sites, different scales of use, and whether I can see that through their affordances, for instance, like their maritime conditions, why one site was used more than the other. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. And so what have you found in your research so far that's exciting?
Mm-hmm. I'm still doing it, but well, I finished the wind analysis, which was actually exciting because there are a couple of patterns that you can pick up, differences from the south of Lebanon to the from the south to the north, and yeah, so these differences might be, for instance, reasons for the use of different harbors at different times. I still need to look into that and link it more with the archaeology and what we know about each site, and that's what I'm doing now at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Plus, I really have nice maps and modeling.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add to it?
Well, yeah, I think what I'm trying to do is really like, it's more of a methodology and an approach than I might end up with no results, but it's just a different way of thinking about these coastlines. So you can take any other coastline anywhere else and you can apply the same methodology, add more characteristics to look at. So I just chose, for instance, wave and wind, but you have the socioeconomic context, you have much more criteria that you can add. But I've only just chosen these, and it's the methodology and the approach that I'm mostly interested in. And I'm looking into developing that into something bigger later on, maybe in my PhD.
Nice.
And we'll blow him away into Liverpool town.
Give me some time to blow the man down. Give me some time to blow the man down. Give me time. 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 Give me time to blow the man down.
As long as, you know.
Okay. It's
Yeah,
weird to
yeah.
look at the camera.
I know.